Save the Semantics, episode 200. It is February 12th, 2023. My name is Myro. This is the podcast where I ramble on for a bit about some shit. Big one today. This 200. And also there's quite a lot to talk about, so I'm excited to kind of discuss some things that happened over the past week. A lot of things going on. So yeah. Also, episode 200. That's pretty crazy. I've been doing this now for, three? I don't know. I've lost track of time. It's been a while, though. I've been doing this for quite a long time. I don't know if necessarily, I every once in a while, I'll go back and re-listen to, bits and pieces of older episodes to kind of see how things have kind of changed in terms of my approach to doing this. I mean, for the most part, it's pretty much been the same. Not a whole lot has really changed over the years in terms of just how I've conducted these, just because it's pretty straightforward. I just record whenever I have time and whenever I have the motivation to do it. And that's it. There's really nothing else to it. So it's not like I have a specific goal in mind for these, at least not right now. Right now, I don't have an overarching plan to do something else in terms of I guess growing this. Although I had some intentions of doing that earlier on, just because I don't know, it was something I could do. But right now, I just I'm just kind of doing my thing with it. I don't really have I don't have an end game with it. I think I just like to record shit whenever I want to record something and talk about some stuff. Just kind of outside of my day-to-day, or whatever is just on my mind. So yeah, it's probably going to just be the continuing format going forward. If you have been listening up to this point, I appreciate it. I really do. I think it's nice to have some, I either treat this as a place to kind of vent in a sense, even though I don't really delve super in depth with my own personal issues or whatever. I mostly keep things surface level and then also talk about, but mainly it's just talking about things that interest me. Although I know I have talked a little bit about, some of my own personal issues in the past, and that might come up again. It's really just how I feel in the moment and whether or not I want to talk about it. So, but again, thank you for listening. If you have been up to this point. Anyways, big week for a lot of shit. A lot of things have happened. Now I've mentioned that I've been checked out from the NBA for a minute now, and I have. But I do want to touch upon just the trade deadline and all of the shit that went down. Maybe not all of it, but I want to touch upon kind of the big things that went down, because it's crazy, man. It's a lot. It's a lot to get into. I'd say the big sort of outcome out of all of the trades that have occurred is that the West has gotten considerably stronger because of it, which doesn't necessarily bode super well for the Warriors. I think it just makes it more difficult for them to seed for the playoffs, and considering how they're playing right now, it's a little difficult to really see them going up in the upper echelon of teams. I think it's going to be pretty difficult. But yeah, just to cut to the chase, KD was traded to the Suns. Kyrie was traded to the Mavericks. And there was some other moving around with the Lakers. The Lakers got better. They added some new pieces. I don't know if that's going to be enough for them to make a post-season, post regular season run, but I think it makes them a little more of a difficult foe. And then we also just lost to them yesterday. So yeah, it's not gonna be easy. It's not super great for us. We also had trade complication with Gary Payton. There was a whole thing that's still ongoing. I don't know if that's going to clear, where Portland's medical staff didn't alert kind of the severity of his injury, noting that he's going to be out for much longer than anticipated, which is not great. I think they should just go forward with the trade like they already did it. I think he's already back with the Warriors. And then also, I mean, I know it's just funny, but it would just be awkward if if like Wiseman decided like got brought back because we canceled the trade. I think it would just make for a really awkward situation, and I'm just putting myself in both the team's shoes and also Wiseman's shoes, and then just thinking about how much of an awkward situation that would be. It's like, just welcome back, man. No, we definitely want you here for sure, like we definitely appreciate and take into consideration your significance to the team after trading him. No, that's just you can't go back on that, I feel. So I think they should. That's not the biggest reason why. I just think they should just go through with it at this point. They've already committed to it. I know that Peyton's going to be out, but he's always, he was injury prone last year. And I don't know. I feel I'm happy that we got him back. I also think that we could have gotten another big in the process. Maybe some kind of buyout if that's still available. I don't know how that works really. I just I don't we're still we're just kind of we're a little better in some aspects, but we haven't really changed a whole lot. And then also considering that Peyton's injured, it's just I don't know. I think if they could have maybe pushed for another I don't know, acquisition of some sorts. I don't know how that works. I don't really know how all these, I understand the need to balance out, the caps out, the salaries and the value of the players and shit like that. I more or less understand that. In terms of like what you can actually do, I don't know the rules to like I don't know what the trade regulations are. I don't know what the I don't understand most of that shit. I just kind of I just see when I see big players move, it's like, wow, that's a big move, right? That's just kind of what I get out of it most of the time. So I'm happy that we got Gary Payton back. I don't know. I feel like even if he wasn't injured, I feel like we could have added another piece. I feel like we could have gone and added another piece, maybe a front court player. I think that could have helped out. But yeah, a lot of moving pieces. Of course, the KD one is massive. KD going to the Suns. I think that it's gonna be. I mean, I mentioned it's gonna be a bloodbath from 1 through 11 in the Western Conference. I'd say the Nuggets. I mean, just based on their record and how they're performing right now, it seems like they have a pretty, steady hold on the Western Conference in terms of seeding at least first. But that can change. There's under 30 games left. So I think that once you're in at this point of the season, I think it's like the standings are going to become more solidified. I think once 10 more games, and then we can kind of get a clearer picture of where things stand. I think it's very interesting where I'm going to move over to the Eastern Conference now. I think it's very interesting where the Nets stand now in terms of their team composition. One, I kind of like the Nets now. The main reason I just feel there's a lot of likable players. I like Mikal Bridges. I didn't like the Suns, really. That was just the main thing. So I think seeing him on the Nets is kind of fun. I'm also kind of a fan of Spencer Dinwiddie. I feel like he's seeing some of his like post game interviews, I feel like he's a very like affable and likable player and personality. So I think that kind of lends itself a little bit more. Um, and I don't know, they just have like a, I don't know, they have like a cool kind of vibe going on. So, kind of like the Jazz earlier on in the season, where they kind of cobbled together a lot of players from the Gobert and Donovan Mitchell trades. But I don't know. I think I like the Nets a little more. Like I like this team a little bit more because the players are a bit more. I don't know. They appeal to me somewhat more than the Jazz, I guess. Um, so yeah, I don't know. I just, I mean, the big reason I dislike the Nets was because of Kyrie. I just feel like wherever Kyrie goes, I'm like, nah, I don't fuck with that team, really. It's like, he's just, it's just who he is. Of course, he's an incredible player, but, just who he is, really, at this point. Uh, it's just so funny how, like, quickly they, like, gutted that shit. Because, uh, at this point, I think they're still like fourth. I haven't checked the standings, but they're still like fourth in the East, right? Like it's just crazy. Like they were like the hottest team in the league a little while back, um, and then just Kyrie just requests a trade, and it just completely falls apart, which is kind of wild. Like they could have they could have had a pretty solid chance at contending. But just because of the ego and just like the fucking the contract negotiations or whatever, it's like this is just wild, man. I don't know. But hey, man, it makes the Nets a little more likable. I'm gonna actually kind of be, I don't know. It's just it's easier to root for a team. Like I don't like them. Like I'm not gonna be like necessarily rooting for them, but I'm gonna, I don't know. It's like, okay, cool. I don't like care if they get further in the East than expected. I'm like, oh fuck yeah, that's cool, man. There's a lot of there's a lot of cool, pieces on that team. So I don't know. It's just kind of funny how things turn out in that way. But yeah, the West has gotten considerably more stronger, and it's going to be more difficult for, again, the Warriors to place, and then the East has gotten a little weaker. It feels like, just kind of based on looking at the standings, it feels like the top three are kind of solidified there, with Boston, Milwaukee, and Philadelphia. I think that's just kind of set there, and then the rest sort of fall into some kind of like, pecking order of like the mid-tier teams. But yeah, West it's kind of funny how it's like sort of the opposite of last year. Like last year, the East was like a bloodbath from like 1 through 11 or something like that. So it's just like a complete opposite. It's just like a complete flip of the conferences this year in terms of competitiveness. So I think that's really interesting. But I'm gonna keep my eye out on, how things sort of proceed. And yeah, I just haven't really had really necessarily the want to watch games. That being said, though, I am going to a Warriors game for the first time at Chase Center next month, and I'm really excited about that. I've been wanted to do that for like, whenever since they moved to San Francisco. But I just haven't had the opportunity. Also, it's really expensive, so I got the tickets. I got were like, I feel like they're decent. They're like standing seats. I'll talk about my experience, once I go. But I don't know. I'm excited. I don't know how well of like a viewing experience it's gonna be, but I think it's gonna be fun just kind of being in that atmosphere. I haven't gone to a basketball game in forever, so I'm excited. I'm really excited to kind of check that out, and also going to SF. I always enjoy my time up in the city. So yeah, looking forward to that. Uh, let's transition to talk about something that I've been sort of very much kind of into recently, which is games, video games and shit. Last week I talked about kind of predicting some things regarding like the Nintendo Direct. The Direct happened on the 8th, and it was a pretty crazy Direct in terms of just what was revealed, what was announced. I think there's a lot of things to kind of look forward to, definitely. One, as a Xenoblade fan, and then two, as a Zelda fan, of course. Like, I mean, I think the fact that, the game's going to come out in a few months. It's going to be, it's right there. It's at our doorstep, you know what I mean? So, I think that in itself is incredibly exciting. I'm so excited, man. I'm so much looking forward to, like, I'm gonna do like, the thing with Zelda is that really the story is like kind of secondary to everything else, the exploration and all of that. Um, I never put too much stock into the stories of these games because they're pretty, it's not anything that's like groundbreaking or revolutionary. That are pretty, you know what to expect with a with a Zelda game. But I think I still kind of want to go with my approach of how I did it with Xenoblade 3 in terms of just like completely just trying to mute out a lot of like especially like on YouTube. I'm trying. I have been watching a lot of Zelda related content just because I've been really kind of invested and I'm getting kind of hyped up and excited for Tears of the Kingdom. But I know that like as the game approaches, I want to do my best to really just try to like, uh, you know, mute out and like not get recommended like Tears of the Kingdom videos because I might get like spoiled on something like that. You know what I mean? Spoiled on both the story and then also like things in the game. So avoiding stuff on Reddit and shit like that. So I'm really gonna try my best to keep these experiences fresh, and do a lot of like that exploration myself because that was a lot of the joy I had when I was played through Breath of the Wild for the first time. Which, funny enough, I just ordered it. It's gonna be coming my way sometime this week because I just want to get a nice. I'm excited for the sequel, and I just want to kind of delve back into the first game again and just kind of dick around in it. I think I mentioned that last time. But I I just want to kind of approach it in a similar manner as I did last year with Xenoblade, where I just stay off of a lot of that kind of content or discussions or whatever that might be. So I kind of have a pretty fresh experience in that sense. But I'm very excited. I'd say like the first time I watched the trailer or it showed up at the end of the direct. First time I watched it, part of me was somewhat underwhelmed in that sense because before that I had watched just to kind of get like just to have a point of reference. I watched the Breath of the Wild kind of like final trailer, and it's incredible. Like it's an incredible trailer. It's so well done. Just kind of the musical, the how the music like accompanies the trailer at certain points and stuff like that, and showing off like these interactions with Zelda and Link and stuff like that. I feel like it's very well done. I think I might have placed a lot of expectations just because of after kind of watching that trailer. And I think this trailer is good. I think within itself, I think it's really good. I just think that in comparison, it's maybe lesser it doesn't have as much weight, I guess. But who knows? I think this is probably going to be the last time I'm going to try to avoid like watching anything else related to Tears of the Kingdom. I'm not going to watch if there's another trailer that comes out close to the release. I'm not going to watch it. I'm going to stay away from it. I think I've gotten enough information as I have from this. And I'm excited to see how it goes, cuz you like people are kind of having like I was reading some comments on like Reddit and some comments on YouTube about how they were kind of like, there was this argument that was had about how Nintendo was reusing their assets from Breath of the Wild, and how that might not make the environments or, the locales as refreshing or as exciting to explore. They're saying like it's just like this is just like glorified DLC. Yeah, that was like some sentiment that I saw, but I really don't think that's the case. I really don't think so. Listen, games like I feel like games in a series, I feel they often reuse assets from prior games. Like, so I don't really like, sure, like maybe you could argue that this game is it could have just been maybe like a separate story if they added just like a few more extra elements to it. Like it could just be like an additional DLC. If that were the case, but I really don't think so. Like they add it feels it feels so much more expansive than that, just based on just kind of the scope of things. How there's this kind of extra world in the sky, you know what I mean? You got like, the quote unquote Skyloft-esque kind of area of the game where things, or it's separate from like the land of Hyrule. I feel like there's probably going to be so much more up there. Some people are saying there could be like caverns and shit like that. I don't really know. I don't know like where people are kind of picking up on that. But that could be exciting. So there's like three kind of layers to this world. That's exciting, man. I think it's going to be much more expansive than people think. Of course, like I know that like based on the trailer, there were some locations that are directly from Breath of the Wild, like Hateno Village and shit like that. But I don't know. I'm fine with re-exploring these places. I really don't. I don't have an issue with that. I'm just excited, man. This is just a new Zelda game. That's really what it matters. Like I'm gonna buy it. I think another big, I guess, criticism or pushback that I've seen is regarding like the $70 price tag, which I fully understand that. I think that's like a worthy criticism. Like I know that like they really can just do that because they're Nintendo and this is Zelda and whatnot. It's just kind of unfortunate. That's just sort of like the main thing. $70 is a lot of money for a lot of people. And then I know translating it to like Canadian dollars, it's like more than 100 plus tax. So that's a fuck ton of money, man, for a video game. I've seen some. I know you can argue that it's like, reflecting like business practices where some other games for like PlayStation and shit like that also cost $70, and then also how games in the past used to be much more expensive than they are now. I don't like, it doesn't matter where those other things stand. Like I think it's I they can just kind of do it because they can, and they know people are gonna buy it and whatnot. I don't. It just sucks because it kind of, gaming in general, I just feel should be much more, I guess, inclusive of, a lot of people, man, because like gaming is it's an expensive hobby. I think a lot of people move to like Switch gaming because one, it's like, it's portable. Like you don't necessarily have to have a TV to game. You can just have the console within itself. And then too, it's just it's much more of an affordable console than buying a whole gaming PC or a PlayStation. You know, I don't know how much Xboxes cost right now, but I'm sure they're up there. So I think I don't know, just having kind of like financial accessibility is like a huge thing. I think um, I remember reading up about like Smash, like um, players from other communities, like people from like the black community or like the Latin community or Latino community getting involved in Smash because it was accessible to them, right? Because like GameCube was much more like, it was cheaper to purchase than other consoles at that time, which is why they got into like Smash, and Melee and shit like that. Um and so I don't know, that's kind of like I think that's like a big pro of Nintendo consoles and how they've sort of approached their games and how they market stuff is just allowing people that haven't really gamed before the ability to do so at at a kind of like a, I guess, lower price range in a sense. Like I know that for the most part nowadays games are like $60 across the board, like new games, but like it's the price of the console itself is like a huge, huge, pretty big drop in the bucket. Or sorry, a drop in the bucket means that it's not that much. That's the wrong term. It's the wrong phrase to use. The price of buying a Switch is kind of like factored into the the gaming experience, right? Like there's like the entry cost, right? So if you're not able to buy like a system, like you're kind of like excluded from that. So I think I don't know. It's just. I think it's good. Like, if they're able to price things accordingly, and kind of continue to have, you know, decent accessibility for all people. I think that's just a good. I know that's just it's very what's the word, utilitarian, with like wanting to other people to have things that they don't necessarily have the means to. But I just think it's good to sort of have that door open for people. And so $70 is a lot of fucking money. um, and of course I'm gonna be buying it, but I just hope that this doesn't discourage people. This both doesn't discourage people from buying games, and also it doesn't encourage these like the gaming industry to continue to like up their prices for games, because I think it can really I don't know, it can hinder people's experiences from purchasing and gaming in general. So that's just kind of how I feel about it. I know they've talked about how Nintendo has said that this is not going to be a regular occurrence with their other titles, but if they move into like the next generation of consoles, it's possible that they might still up the prices for those. You know what I mean? Just based on demand, like people are just gonna buy Mario's and Zelda games at the highest price that's available, just because they are those games. So yeah, I don't know. That's just sort of how I feel about the $70. Main thing is that it's just a fuck ton of money, and it's pricey. It's definitely pricey for sure. I'll touch very briefly on Xenoblade 3 because I am also incredibly excited for what they have in store for the fourth wave of DLC, which is gonna hopefully come around later this year. Wave 3 is gonna drop later this week, which I'm also kind of excited for. It's not like a huge development, but they added in like challenge battles that they say has like roguelike elements. I'm a sucker for that kind of stuff. The main rogue game that I play is roguelike game that I play is Slay the Spire, and I love it. I've put in, I've mentioned I've put in countless hours into that. So I don't know how well that's going to translate to Xenoblade combat, but I don't know. I'm excited to try it out. I like the idea of like trying going over and over again, and attempting to do like different runs with different characters, and considering that there's, you know, considering the character variety, uh, that's a lot of fun. I think that's gonna be that's kind of open like the door for, different. I don't know, like the fact that you can play with different like heroes and shit like that is pretty exciting. Um, so yeah, hopefully that pans out, and works to some level. I'm gonna play it anyway. I'm gonna give it a shot. I've pretty much Now there's still a lot of content remaining in the post game for me, for Xenoblade 3, but I've kind of reached a point where one, I maxed out like to level 99, and then two, I've also done like pretty much all of like the hero stuff at this point, outside of the new DLC hero that's going to come out. Um and really the main thing that's kind of left for me, is to play the game again, in Japanese, but I'm kind of saving that for later. I just don't want to get too burned out on the game. So I might say I'm thinking of saving replaying the game on a second run, maybe later down the line for this year. But exciting developments. The fourth DLC story looks interesting. I'm really excited with what they kind of teased. It's we're already getting some fan servicey shit, which I am a sucker for. So they're pulling me in with that. So I'm excited to kind of see, regardless of how well it kind of connects to the main game. I think that I don't know. I think that there's a lot of things to be intrigued by, and excited for. I'm just happy that we're getting more Xenoblade shit. That's just the main thing, man. I think we've been really spoiled with the content that we've kind of received. So I'm happy about that. Another thing to somewhat discuss, that was about things that were revealed at the direct, is Baten Kaitos, which is a Monolith game, or it is Baten Kaitos 1 and 2, which is a Monolith game from the GameCube era. I've been intrigued by this series. I don't know a whole lot about it other than the fact that it was made by Monolith and Bandai Namco. But that's probably going to be on my list of games that I want to play. That's another one on the backlog, man. It's fucked up, dude. It's not cool. It's not cool to keep throwing games on there. So I don't know if I don't know when it's gonna release. I forgot when they said. I think they said summer. But and I don't know if I'm gonna get to that one anytime soon. But I want to try it. I want to check it out. It seems interesting. The combat seems very, card based combat system. Hey, listen, man. I've been playing Slay the Spire. I'm sure it's gonna be a little different from that, but that seems really interesting and fun. Um, and I'm down for trying out something different once in a while. Um, I think there was some discussion in regards to like how the voice acting portion was treated. Like I think it seems like they're toggling off the English voice acting, which people have said is like really bad in the original. So I don't really care too much about that. Um, I just hope like I just hope that there's some quality of life like shit you know from the original version. I uh, since this is a game, or this is a series from like kind of the early 2000s or like mid 2000s, there's probably going to be um some dated elements to it for sure. So I hope that you know they've addressed those things at the very least. maybe like a speed up kind of thing, similar to Final Fantasy VII, which I'm gonna beat it. I'm gonna beat it soon, or sometime in the next whenever I have the want to do it. I'm really just don't want to beat the game. Really, that's like the main thing. I've just been kind of holding on to it because I don't want it to end. That's sort of the my main feeling, really. But I'll get to it. Um, Metroid Prime Remastered. I don't know how much of an interest I have in playing it. I was watching one streamer play it, and it seems fun. I'm also not the biggest like first person shooter fan, so um but I've heard really great things about Metroid Prime, so um I'm sort of like iffy on that. Uh it's not like a priority, but maybe if I just want to have like an itch to play something kind of in that genre, um then maybe I'll check it out in the future. But I think it's awesome that it got remastered, and it seems like a lot of people are really happy about that. So I think that's great. Uh, Other stuff, Octopath Traveler 2. I'm sort of like with Octopath Traveler. I'm sort of wary of it in a sense. Like part of me wants to play it, but part of me just doesn't. I don't know how much like random encounter turn based combat I really want to deal with right now. Um, like I've gotten accustomed to just sort of combat where the enemies are visible on the field and stuff like that. Like I know I've been playing Final Fantasy VII. That's sort of the exception to the rule, but um, it's gonna be it's gonna be a little hard for me to go back to random encounter battles, just because it's been a while since I've really played some extensively. Like I've played a ton. I've played a lot of Dragon Quest when I was younger, and I also went through Final Fantasy 9 and 6. Um, so I have my fair share of experience, but it's just gonna be hard to really get back into that. It's gonna be a little difficult. So um, I don't know. I there's a lot of great things that I've heard from about Octopath Traveler, and it seems that the sequel are going to be improving on a lot of like the story based and like the character interactions and stuff like that. So this is great. I just don't know. Again, I don't know if that's something that I am interested in at this point in time, but we'll see. Uh, Sea of Stars looks excellent. Uh, you know, Spiritual kind of, not successor, but very much heavily influenced by Chrono Trigger from what I've heard. And then, you got Yasunori Mitsuda who's composing, like, which is fucking awesome. And I've heard a lot of great things about it. So that's kind of semi on my backlog. The art style looks great. I'm assuming the music's going to be fantastic. I don't know about the story, but I'm assuming the story's going to be pretty solid as well. Um, and they also have a demo out, so do I want to play the demo? I don't know. There's too many fucking games, dude. There's too many games. There's too many games. This is the main thing. There's too many fucking games. But yeah, I'm actually going to take a look because I think I noted this down. Um, Added a few more things to my gaming backlog, which is going to be continue to grow. And you know what? I don't feel pressure to beat all of these. It's just like games I'll play in the future. They'll always be there for me. I don't necessarily feel pressure to get through them or whatever, because they will be there for me. Okay, a lot of these I talked about before. Okay, so I added Chained Echoes, which is another one. Is like another JRPG, heavily influenced by old school JRPGs, or not. It's not a JRPG because it's not made by a Japanese developer. I forgot where that developer is based from, but heavily influenced by old school JRPGs. It looks really good. I've heard some of the music. and that sounds really good as well. I heard the story is excellent. So, in the future, it's another one on the list. It's another one on the list. Uh, I also added Nier, which, I've talked about it, so it's not really, that's not new, but I think I just forgot to note it down. But Nier is also on there, which I'll get to. I will definitely get to Nier for sure. That's something that's maybe this year I'll try to get to it. And then Sea of Stars is another one. So, ooh, it's a pretty long list right now. I might try to clear out some that I may or may not play at all, just cause. But again, these games are gonna exist, and they're gonna stay there, regardless if I get to it anytime soon. So I don't know. I shouldn't be that worried about it. Like, there's really no pressure for me to play those. I should just kind of continue to seek and play what I want at the current time. That's really been my approach to things. But yeah, a lot of exciting developments in, I guess, the Nintendo world of things. And then for me, I've got a lot of things to look forward to, and that's great. So yeah, that's probably going to be it for this episode. Thanks for listening to me ramble on for 200 episodes, if you have been listening for that long. And that's it. This has been Save the Semantics, signing off.